This is a bit of a late preview for the game coming up on Thursday evening against Man United away from home. But I think it's a preview worth doing anyway, so I hope you enjoy it. Given that Crescencio Somerville and Lucas Paqueta are again missing from the starting lineup, Nuno Espirito Santo has to shuffle his pack and fill those two positions in the starting lineup that those two players would have undoubtedly filled had they been available for selection. Somerville is becoming a bit of a concern because he started to miss quite a few games. He missed quite a lot of games last season because of injury, and he's beginning to miss quite a few games this season as well after picking up his latest knock. Now, it was suggested that in his press conference by Nuno that the game against Man United has come just a little bit too soon for Somerville, which suggests that he may be back in time for the game against Brighton this coming Sunday, but I'm not counting on that. And of course, Paqueta serves yet another one-match ban after picking up 2 yellow cards against Liverpool last Sunday. So how's Nuno going to set his team up for the visit to visit Man United on Thursday? Well, there's a notion that Nuno will do more or less what he did in the game against Bournemouth and probably go with a back three. In the game against Bournemouth, Nuno selected Igor and he selected Guilherme to cover for Somerville and Paqueta. However, I don't think Nuno will select the same two players for this match. With Dinos Mavropanos back, there's a likelihood that Nuno will recall Max Kilman so that he and Dinos and Todibo form a back three. As for the other spot, well, Nuno has a number of choices he can select from. Of course, he could certainly try and play Luis Guilherme in that starting lineup the way he did for Bournemouth. But I'm not so sure that the player has got enough about him to warrant him having another start. Now, granted, I hear what a lot of people are saying, what a lot of fans are saying. It's unfair on the young player. He hasn't been given a chance. And when he has been given the chance, he's been played out of position. But sometimes you can tell whether a young player has got it in him to really break through or not. And for me, Guilherme doesn't seem to have enough about him to make me think that he's going to become a Premier League success. So I think Nuno will go with another route. And there are several options open to him. Now, he can go the defensive route and pick Kyle Walker-Peters to play either ahead of or behind Malik Diouf. Or he could go with George Earthy. He could give him a chance in the starting lineup as well. Look, if he selects Kyle Walker-Peters, he's got 3 options available to him that this player brings. As I've just mentioned, he can simply play Kyle Walker-Peters in an advanced role on the left side with Malik Diouf playing at the behind him. Or he can play Kyle Walker-Peters as a right back and then push Aaron Wan-Bissaka over to the left. We've seen Wan-Bissaka do actually really well on that left side of defence. Or he can actually play Kyle Walker-Peters in a more advanced role and keep Diouf as a defender. Now, the alternative is he can actually go instead for George Earthy. We haven't seen anything of George Earthy this season, and maybe this is an opportunity for the player to show what he's capable of. Earthy has been looking rather sharp since his return from injury, and he scored that fantastic solo effort in the under-21s 3-0 win over Truro City in the National League Cup last week. Now, that goal earned him a place on the bench against Liverpool at the weekend, but he was an unused sub. So, might Nuno opt for Earthy, who can operate from the centre or out on the flank? He's not only a central midfielder. He can play on the wing as well. But he's a player that likes to cut in from the left side onto his favoured right foot. It will certainly give us a more attacking option. It's possible. It is an option. But again, not one I think that Nuno's likely to go for in the starting lineup. So the choices are quite different. Carl Walker-Peters, he can provide that defensive reliability and he can provide width. He's comfortable defending one-on-ones, and he gives Nuno a fullback who can overlap in the attacking areas. Useful if the plan is to neutralise Man United's wide players. But he can also offer versatility because, as I've just said, he can be deployed in a number of positions. But he won't necessarily offer a goal threat. Mind you, having said that, he did score against Burnley when he was used in the more attacking left-sided midfield role a few weeks ago. And then George Earthy, as I've mentioned, he's got the energy. He can press from midfield or from wide areas. He can press high, win second balls, and make late runs into the box to unsettle Man United centre-backs. Or he can go for Luis Guilherme, who's got that creative spark and can dribble the ball in tight spaces. But the Brazilian has shown only glimpses of what he's capable of, and he's not been consistent enough for me to demand an automatic starting place in the first 11. However, I can't help feel that Nuno is going to opt for the defensive-minded approach, which means the three at the back, but it also means that the other spot available in the starting lineup will stay with Songutu Magassa in central midfield. Now, I like Magassa. I think he's grown. He will grow into a very decent Premier League footballer as he acclimatizes to this league. I've said before, I think Magassa was kind of a little bit unlucky to have lost his place soon after Nuno arrived at the club. But for me, he's done, every time he's been called upon, I think he's been all right. I think he's been quite impressive. I think he had a very good game for West Ham against Liverpool last weekend, and he was only brought off because Nuno wanted to change tactics. And he was extremely unlucky to have got a booking after making a perfectly well-timed challenge on Szoboszlai. One of the many errors that Darren England made in that game was booking Magassa for a perfectly decent challenge. And with Magassa retaining his place in the starting lineup, and with the prospect of Kilman being drafted back into the side, I think that's those are the two players that Nuno is going to opt for to compromise compromise for the fact that he doesn't have Somerville and Paqueta. So my predictions for the team lineup, this is what I think Nuno's going to go for. I think he's going to go for a 3-4-2-1 formation. Areola will keep his place in goal. He's been proven quite worthy of that of late. The three at the back, Max Kilman, Dinos, and Jean-Claire Todibo. The two defensive midfielders, Magassa and Freddie Potts. And then the players to give us width will be Wan-Bissaka and Malik Diouf. And then Jarrod Bowen and Matthias Fernandes will be utilising kind of inverted roles just behind Callum Wilson as support. Now, this inevitably means that West Ham are going to sit deeper. We kind of expect that. They're going to protect their channels against United's wide threats. They're going to use two disciplined midfielders to screen the defence. And they're going to go direct, from defence to attack. They're going to pump that ball up from the back straight to our attacking players. But West Ham fans want to see a little bit more than just defending and hoping to hit Man United on the break. We have to look at the lack of attacking threat against Liverpool, where we conceded too much of the ball and couldn't string successive passes together. Plus, we didn't have a shot on target. So with that in mind, it's no surprise that fans are calling out for either Guilherme or George Earthy so that they can at least provide some attacking threat in this team. And if Nuno was to opt for one of these players, then he'll probably revert to a back four and probably keep Kilman on the bench. But what are we up against? What's Man United going to offer? Well, despite a very shaky start to his Man United tenure, Ruben Amorim is finally getting a tune out of this Man United side. Brian Mbeumo is their highest goal scorer this season with a tally of 6. And it's suggested that Matheus Cunha could be making his return to the side in this game against West Ham on Thursday night. And they have goal threats from across the team, to be honest. Casemiro, even though a defensive midfielder, has already got 3 goals, primarily from set pieces. Bruno Fernandes, Mason Mount, you name them. They do have players who can actually hurt West Ham. But their defensive frailties has seen them win just 1 game throughout November, the 2-1 win against Crystal Palace away from home. Whereas in the past month, they drew 2-2 against Spurs and 2-2 against Nottingham Forest, and they lost 1-0 against Everton. However, they sit 7th in the league with 7 wins and 6 defeats so far this season. But they are vulnerable at the back because they've conceded almost as many goals as they've scored. Amorim has his own problems with team selections, with the likes of Maguire and striker Sesko out through injury. And there are question marks over 2 other players that he didn't name during his press conference. Now, as mentioned, Cunha is back, and it will take an almighty defensive effort for West Ham to keep Man United from scoring. But with Amorim suggesting that young 18-year-old Shea Lacey from the academy could be ready for first-team action, it might be that Cunha might be back in training, but may not be ready for this game. But Shea Lacey is a wide player, so it could also mean that either Amad Diallo or Mbeumo might also be unavailable for this game. But many Man United fans are suggesting that one of the players struggling for fitness could be Bruno Fernandes, their captain, as he was seen clutching his hamstring in the game against Crystal Palace just the other day. So there are selection problems for Amorim, but then that's his problem. Amorim's formation is likely to be very similar to that of Nuno's. So we may see 2 teams adopting a 3-4-2-1 formation. But Amorim sometimes changes that. He tweaks that slightly to make it a more attack-minded 3-4-3. His game plan is to see an awful lot of the ball. It'll be possession-based football. And this, ironically, might play in West Ham's favour. Because what do I expect from West Ham tomorrow night? Well, I've said we're not going to see much of the ball anyway. We're going to look to try and be compact to frustrate Man United, and we're going to look to hit them on the counter, or we're going to go long from the back to striker, just like we did when Areola set up Callum Wilson for his first goal against Bournemouth a few weeks ago. But there is one player that I really want to see shine in a West Ham shirt on Thursday night, because I think he's been a bit under par of late. And that, of course, is our captain, Jarrod Bowen. Now, the last time Bowen scored was in the 1-1 draw against Everton back at the end of September. And the last time he had an assist was in the 2-1 defeat against Leeds United in October. He hasn't scored in the last 7 games, and I think it's time that he actually stepped up. Perhaps the captaincy is taking its toll on the player, and he was rightly criticised for not doing more as a captain to pull Paqueta away from the referee when he got sent off against Liverpool at the weekend. I've suggested that whether the captaincy is too much of a burden on Bowen and is affecting his game, and perhaps taking that responsibility away from him might come as a relief rather than an insult, so that then he can focus back on his own game. We need a captain's performance from him, and we also need a goal or 2 in the process. So just to recap on who might be in our starting lineup, I think Nuno's going to go for this lineup. I think he's going to go with 3 at the back. He's going to call Kilman back, and with Areola in goal, Todibo, Kilman, and Dinos at the back. I think he'll go with 4 in the middle, with Aaron Wan-Bissaka and Malik Diouf giving us the width, with Magassa and Freddie Potts in the middle. And I think the 2 supporting players for Callum Wilson will be a further advanced Fernandes and Jarrod Bowen. Now, as I've said again, he could change that. He could stay with 4 at the back, and he could bring in someone like Guilherme or George Earthy. And if that was the case, then it'll be 4 at the back with Kilman back on the bench, and then the rest of the team as is, with Guilherme or Earthy on that left-hand side. Or it could be the same sort of lineup, 4 at the back again, but a bit more defensive-minded by bringing in, say, Kyle Walker-Peters to play either on the right or the left, and maybe having Malik Diouf further up the pitch. Look, as far as results is concerned, I don't know. I can't see us going another game without having shots on target. But I think both teams will score. So I'm going for a Desmond. I think it's going to be a 2-2 draw. I'll be up there. I'll be there with Wiggy and Paul for the game. So do look out for a post-match review after the game. I'm sure that'll be quite lively, dependent on the results. Thank you for watching and listening. You can see the scroll at the bottom. There's a QR code in the top, what is it? Right-hand corner, left-hand corner to you. Click on that to become a subscriber. Subscription is free of charge. Please hit the like button if you've enjoyed this preview. And please also hit the hype button, because the hype button allows other viewers on YouTube to watch the video as well. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Come on, West Ham. Let's put in a performance. Let's see what we can get against Man United on Thursday night. You never know. That's the beauty of football. You don't know how it's going to turn out.